So a question will come like this and say, find the gradient of g of x, which is 2x cubed, using the lim equal to change in g of x over change in x. So that formula, you must not be scared. Ne? You must just know this formula is the one from the first principle. We know that first principle says what? H approaches 0, which means it's going to say what? X plus, x plus what? Plus h minus g of x. Ne? All divided by what? By h. But now, instead of using h, they use what? They use change in x. So which means you are going to change that thing to say the lim as change in x approaches what? Approaches 0. Of that is going to be g of what? G of x plus what? Plus whatever that is here. Just like here, they take whatever that is here. So which means we are going to say plus what? Plus the change in x. We close the bracket, we say minus what? Minus g of x. All divided by what? Divided by the change in x, which is the same as h. So we know this thing usually is equal to what? Is equal to g prime of x. That's what they are looking for. Which means from there, we know that our g prime of x is equal to the lim as change in x approaches 0. 0 of what? Of g of x plus change in x minus g of x. All divided by what? Divided by the change in x. So we are given the g of x there, which is equal to what? 2x cubed. So what can we do there? We're going to do the things. We're going to say equal sign. Where we see x, we're going to add change in x, which means I'm going to have 2 into, where I see x, I'm going to say x plus the change in x. So I say all cube minus, I just take 2x cube as it is, then I divide both sides by what? Oh, sorry, I forgot the lim. Ooh, that's the last thing that I can forget. I have the lim as change in x approaches 0, which means I'll still have the change in x in the denominator. So from there, I will have equal sign, the lim as change in x approaches what? 0. So which means from there, I will multiply the bracket. I know I taught you that what? That a plus b all cube is equal to a a what? I'm making a mistake. Is equal to a plus b into what? Into a squared plus b squared plus 2ab. Understand? Then from there, you can multiply the a's and whatsoever, which means from here I will remain with what? With x plus the change in x. Multiply by what? Multiply by x squared plus change in x squared plus 2 times what? Times x multiply by the change in x. I close the bracket, I say minus 2x cubed. All divided by what? Divided by the change in x. So from there I have equal sign, then I have the lim, I have the change in x as x approaching 0. So which means I'm going to multiply the brackets again. I'm going to remain with what? With x cube plus, when I multiply this one and this one like this, I multiply. So which means there I will have what? I will have x multiplied by change in x squared plus, when I multiply with the third one, I will have what? I will have 2x squared, the change in x, plus, now I distribute the change in x, I multiply with this one. So which means I will have plus what? Plus x squared, the change in x. Then again I will have what? Plus the change in x cube. Then again I will have what? Plus 2x, the change in x squared. I close the brackets, I say minus 2x what? X cube. So from there I will divide both sides by what? I'll divide everything by changing x. So I start distributing my 2. When I distribute my 2, I still have the limb. The change in x approaches 0. I will have what? 2x cube plus 2x change in x squared plus 4x squared change in x plus 2x squared change in x plus change in x cube plus 2x change in x squared minus 2x cube, all divided by what? All divided by the change in x. If you can check, this one cancels that one, and I think we have the like terms from there. I see x multiplied by changing x squared. Even here I see x multiplied by the change in x squared. Then again I see changing x multiplied by x squared, changing x multiplied by x squared. So which means we have the like terms there. When I have the like terms like that, I will have equal sign, the limb, the change in x approaches what? 0, which means I will have 2 plus 2, which is what? 4x change in x squared plus that one of 4 plus 2 is going to be 6x squared, the change in x plus the change in x cube. This one that does not have any term like it. Then we have the change in x. From there, in the numerator, I have common factor of change in x. I see change in x approaches 0. I have common factor of what? Of change in x into 4x change in x plus 6x squared plus change in x squared, all divided by what? By the change in x. If you can see, the change in x, they do what? They cancel. Then now I can substitute my what? I can substitute my limb here, which means when I substitute the limb, I leave, the 0, I leave alone the limit. I will have what? 4x, where this change in x I put 0, plus 6x squared plus, where I see that when I put 0, all squared, which is equal to what? Is equal to 6x squared. So which means therefore the derivative of g of x is 6x squared. You can prove that one here, which means our g prime of x is equal to 6x squared. From there you are done.